Happy Meditation Monday. Just playing a little sound work by Tom Kenyon as we get started and get sorted. Hello, hello. Deep breaths. Get some water. How has your practice been? How has the influx of energies that occurred with the full moon last week, the shift of energy that occurred with the full moon last week, how is that treating you? My name is Josie. I work with energy, I work with sound, and I work with vibration. And what does that mean? Well, let me tell you. It's neat. There's a lot that is spoken of energy. And in meditation, we're connecting on a regular basis with our energetic equilibrium. And meditation sometimes is just thought of as a way to calm the mind. But what it is doing, it's accessing the, let's say, frequency of mental movement and assimilating that with the movement of energy that is through your whole being, through your whole body. And so I was guided to talk a little on this because this is not a new construct of us balancing or discovering a harmony of the different energetic pulsations within us. And these pulsations, well, I think in one of my drawings, somewhat so, right? We kind of know that there's these two kind of snakes that move through this central channel of us. And these snakes, of course, snakes in all ancient cultures were depicting energy, movement of energy. And so in that, right, there was a lot of talk for years and years and years in meditation, as the pinnacle point in your meditation practice was to move those two snakes, allow the Kundalini, it's also spoken of, to rise up through the conduit, that central channel, all the way until they meet somewhere around here in the mind. And then there was a process that was spoken of, which was called Amrita, like the nectar. There was a certain nectar that energy moving up easily through your whole body and accessing the mind would share within your mind. And I'm encouraged to speak of that nectar today because, well, what are your thoughts on nectar? What are your notions when you think of something that is an elixir or that is a nectar? There's a natural kind of fluidity or viscosity to something when we see nectar. When you see, even like when I think of nectar, I think of that sweet nectar that birds like to connect in those bird feeders, right? It's something that has a sweetness to it and some type of viscosity to the fluid. And so since the full moon and even leading up to the full moon, been getting lots of information about accessing more fluidity within our bodies. And usually we think that is drinking more water, which of course water is great. Or, getting more fluid in the movement of our body, like being able to move our joints with greater ease. And absolutely, all of these teachings and ways of practice to bring more fluidity in the movement of your body are wondrous. But in meditation, we can also learn how to access more fluidity so that energy can move through our body with more ease and bring that nectar in towards our mind. And why would you think it would be important to bring nectar to our mind. Why do you think, that there's all these beautiful pictures of these two snakes coming and dropping these beautiful droplets of liquid into the mind, right? Well, we go back to meditation being a way of clearing our mental constructs. And now we have to realize that mental movement, the movement of thoughts within our mind, is much more of one type of energy, which is light energy. Hence why we even speak of the third eye as the Ajna chakra, right? It's the energy center, the pineal gland that accesses light, that reads light. And so the mental processes within the brain and within our mind are much more on the light side. And what I mean by that is not light as in weight, but light as in actually, right? Like, do you see those types of sparks that occur from that lighter? I'm so happy. Thank you, lighter, for showing these beautiful sparks. Think of those sparks, right, of light is what is the pulses of thought. And so as thoughts, sometimes we do a meditation practice to calm the mind. And so what is calming the mind really doing? Calming the mind is being able to access those pulsations of light, those sparks, and doing something with them, right? And if you've ever worked with sparks of light, right, what do you think is going to help them? It's probably not going to be air, unless you want to just completely clear the mind, which you can start with, which is a natural way of doing breathing meditation. So breathing meditation would be the easy way of just going, okay, I'm going with a nice little scouring pad. I'm working with the air to be a messenger and to start to move that around. And that requires to work with breath and air, with the sparks of light, of energy within the mind, requires an immense consciousness, an immense ability of and capacity of awareness, because you would need to be able to not let those sparks of light, which are thoughts, which are things jumping through, which have words or visuals or all of that type of stuff, however you think, right? Not get caught up in that, and be able to just see them a little bit separated, a little bit distanced, and then just work with the breath as a messenger to bring up some energy to help move and calm those light frequencies, those sparks. But another way, of course, to work with fire and to calm those sparks would be to add water, to add fluidity. And fluidity of energy would be considered the second energy, right? So that the first energy is more light-based, spark-based, electric, then the second energy would be much more fluid, much more viscous and vibrational, right? So we've heard these terms before. Energy can be light as well as can be vibration. And so the cool thing about vibrational energy, which has also been taught as the feminine energy, is that there is a massive store of it just below our feet. So any type of grounding meditation, any meditation that connects you to the energy of the earth, and if you are open enough to draw up that fluid vibrational energy from the earth into your body as you sit and practice, that will assist in bringing more fluidity, more water stores, so to speak, energetically into your being. And over time and practice of working with the fluidity of energy, then that energy could easily bring the nectar to the mind. And so that nectar would almost be like, think of each little spark that each mental thought and capacity has would have a beautiful kind of like gel-like, bubble-like structure that you could then bring. That nectar would come and encase it, right? So then you're thinking the thought or the energy spark is right there, and it has this beautiful gel-like type of fluid energy that is surrounding it and encasing it. And so that is the process that I'm really guided to talk about today, because as energies amp up, as shifts occur to us all, be it from the sun, from the eclipses, from the moon, as well as from the earth and what's underground, then we either need to learn how to be along for the ride, to learn how to work with our bodies in a way that can bring us more ease, harmony, and equilibrium during all of these beautiful shifts and greater access to energy, or we cannot and just feel like we're a basket case all the time. But I choose the former. I've had years of some, moving through energetic practices and feeling like a basket case at the end of the day, and I'm done with it. So today in seated practice, I'm very excited to see if Earth Mother and Earth will allow me to share a more fluid meditation, a way of sitting and accessing that fluid energy, and to slowly move it upwards if needed and if available to you. But of course, with fluidity, when we think of like rivers moving or a stream moving, right? Even a little rock, that gets in the way can change the flow or even stop the flow. And so that those little rocks, right, along the riverbed, or that get into the river and shift the flow, would be similar within our body as the sensations of pain and discomfort, which normally in meditation, we talk a lot about accessing and understanding the pain-pleasure spectrum of sensation and being able to observe and hold space for both. And specifically in fluidity, it's a little different. I would share that even when accessing a pain sensation, to not just focus specifically on the pain, you can definitely share love and connection, but even if you need to bring a little movement to the body. So to allow yourself to do any type of circular or fluid motion with the spine, with the arms, or with any parts of your joints, if needed, to begin to almost break up the debris or the rubble that is limiting the fluid flow of energy within. So know that in any meditation practice that I would share of fluidity to the collective, like on YouTube, this is something that you could practice on a regular basis. And each time you may access more or access some stuck areas and pains that you might have to kind of like stop and really focus on breaking up the debris, before getting. So know that even though the destination may feel like it's the mind, if there's a area that's stuck within the heart or the solar plexus, work with what I would say to do in the mind there, right? Because there is beauty in the debris. There is beauty in the stuck points too. And that can bring immense healing and immense awareness and a new flush and flow of energy through you. So we are definitely looking to create more easeful channels of energy and capacity within. So never feel that if you access a block or something that is uncomfortable, that you have failed, right? Or you've done something wrong. It's going like, oh, thank you, body, for sharing with me this thing that has, stuck me. This is my destination today. This is my destination today. This is my destination today. It doesn't always just have to be there. So as you then build and cultivate greater understanding and connection to the sensation of the fluid vibratory energy that you can bring up into the mind, right? When it's going to carry a healing journey along the way, is what I'm trying to share. You're welcome to share any questions if they do come up too. I'm going to take a sip of water because I was like, needed to share all of that. And already we're well into Meditation Mondays. Okay. And why this comes up so much, even in the full moon oracle that I shared last week, that you're welcome to watch on replay if you didn't connect to it. There was this really big talk of connecting to the body. And I know, yes, I have just launched a new program called the Body Earth Program, which will be a signature program, meaning that it will be run every 6 to 8 weeks. The first round of it starts in June. And this program has come from this work with meditation, with energy, with spirit journeys in my own practice, as well as with the people that I work with. And seeing that, as much as we have gained over time with a lot of meditative practices, to access more of those light sparks in connection to electrical type of energy and currents, there's a really strong message to start to amplify and gather more stores of fluid energy within our bodies. And this was shared with me from some of my team, my spiritual team, as well as me working with Earth Mother. And it came through a lot since the spring equinox, was just like this, the energies will continue to be amping up. It is time to get to know how your body functions energetically, how the physical body functions as an energetic being. And so if you are encouraged, you're welcome to connect with me. We can always have an initial chat if there's any questions, or you can check out the Body Earth program. I'd be pleased to have you. And this is where we really go through more practices on how to access and understand the elemental energies of air, water, fire, and earth in the space within our body, as well as how then to work with time and consciousness in a way that can bring you more ease and equilibrium on the regular. So it can only assist you in healing and growing. Yay. So very excited for that program, and I'm feeling like I might have to come on and do like a Q&A or to share a bit more about it instead of just like a little bit. But this is a good practice for you to start to sense some of what I'm talking about. And as well this June, I'm excited to share that I will be bringing on some movement practices. I call them MIM movement, which stands for Mother or Vibratory Energy Medicine, something that can teach or heal your body of how to process more of the energy we're receiving through different movement practices. So really excited to start that as well. So lots of stuff coming forward for June. Any questions about Kundalini, about the snake-like process of energy through our being, even the central channel? So the central channel, I was just guided to kind of just talk a bit about that because we're speaking of these two energies, but of course there's three. There's a central channel that runs along our spine and then through to the pineal gland, and then can access from crown to the earth. And it helps us really connect a greater balance to what seems above and as below. And these channels kind of run simultaneously. Let's see if I can do this, right? In two different directions at once. So it's like receive, release, receive, release, receive, release on a constant. And so the beautiful thing about knowing that this can be a free-flowing channel as we work with our spine and as we work in our meditation practice, right? That's what happens as you cultivate and sit on a regular basis with meditation. There's something to the seated position, right? And I've spoken of this before, lying down meditations is a very different experience, right? It can allow you to rest the body. The body is really not participating as much. And so that you can really kind of go off and explore all the light frequencies and the codes that you're receiving, and have a very great experience in consciousness. In a seated practice, there's something about sitting that really lets your body know that it is engaged, that it is also participating in the process. And that in bringing along the body in your consciousness practices is such a gift, because then it will cultivate a clear central channel. Okay. And this is not something I've gotten out of a book. This is simply just from meditating for 30 years of what I can share. So no, always you can take what you wish from what I share about my practices and leave what you wish to as well. There are many ways to discover and connect to central channel. And there's a lot to be shared of that. And some great books that I could always recommend. Some are on my website under contact page. I have a book list. So with that, if there's no further questions, I'm just going to check in. So it's the nice thing with then knowing that there's this central channel that is our current, right? And then that how these two kind of differing energies that we think of are moving and dancing through our whole being, and hopefully slowly we'll be moving together and assisting each other in this dance. Then of course there's a lot of speak and talk of energy centers of the body, and you can for sure read incredible yogic philosophy on the chakra system, on the energy wheels, the main kind of points where energy usually intersects and connects. There are a lot more energetic portals and connections than those depicted, as we know. And we are opening, as we explore more of the elements within our energetic body, to many more. And on top of it, like just for example, the point of the throat, right? There's actually also incredible points here that I've been connecting to, and then a very different energetic point that's here kind of at the back of the palate, which would then feel like a different energetic point here. So the one thing with that is when we have a lot of information about specific energy centers, right? Like we know a lot about the throat, right? There's a lot of information out there on that one. So when you then start to sense energy or tension or pain or discomfort or closing in your meditation practice, what does that do? All that information, right? Pain response, up to the mind. Here it is. Okay, throat means this. This is what's wrong, blah, 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 blah. Puts that information there. And then you have mind, right? Sharing information to that energy center of an analysis of like what's wrong with it and why, and maybe what's wrong with it. Like what's a thing that is normally talked about with the throat chakra? You know what I mean? it's like just trying to draw some things that I read from, like, more English chakra books, like, oh, it has stuff about, speaking your truth, or, about your voice, and about being able to, speak with compassion, or being able to digest difficult things, right? And ingest difficult, like, words. So with all that knowledge then, right, you feel then a sensation in your meditation. And instead of it then just being a rock in the flow of energy, to kind of like, okay, what do I need to do? How can I breathe around that sensation and bring the energy around that tension and that pain to start to dissipate it and then initiate flow again? Instead, we go right to that information, and then all these sparks come, and then we're like, oh my God, where am I not speaking my truth from? Oh my gosh, blah, 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 blah. And then the mind's going a mile a minute from that pain point, from that tension, because of the data and the information that you previously have ingested. So I'm not saying that information is bad. I'm not saying that thoughts are bad. I'm just sharing that, to be wary of that, to know that our mind will try to find an answer to certain sensations in our body, like this. It's like you hurt your elbow. You're like, oh my gosh, pain, elbow, fix, right? We get right into how to fix this, how to get things taken care of, and what do I need to do now? So when that arises in the mind, as you're moving fluidity and energy up into the body, the process then is to continue to breathe and go, I see you, thoughts. I see that you're here, but I'm going to bring my awareness to that pain point, accept the sensation of that pain point, and see how, if I need to, if you get very discombobulated, go back and bring your awareness to the earth, and then slowly start to feel the fluidity move until you get to that point again, and see if it can come around. So it's about trying to then shift thought. And so in the focal point, what I'll share, a really easy one, is to go, how do I bring flow? And the flow of energy, right, has a very couple points of exit, right? They can either exit through our hands or the bottoms of our feet. And sometimes if you have really good softening and ease in the genitals, it can also soften through, like, anus, genitals, all of that, okay? But the easiest points, if you're not a very seasoned, like, super, super seasoned in softening genitals, would be to go, okay, mind, I see your thoughts. I am aware of this pain point. I'm not going to freak out or overanalyze it. I'm just going to see how can then I bring this thought down towards hands or the flow to the ground, and then draw from the ground or through these points back into my body, this fluidity. So it's a big ask, I know. Our minds are really, really running rampant. There's a lot of thought processes that are within our consciousness, right? I think our consciousness, our awareness of who we are, there's a lot of information up there. And so if you're feeling very overactive in the mind, this process should hopefully bring you a little more calm. But it will require that consciousness that you have grown and built for you, right? The observer within meditation, to see it and not then let it take over the show. Okay. Any questions before we begin? So to summarize, this is to access fluid energy, vibrational energy, energy that is amply shared from the earth within and to move through our body, with destination potential being at the mind to assist in calming the fluctuations, the overactive pulsations within the mind. And if not, at least we'll address an area, a focal point that might be inhibiting the flow of energy from the earth to the mind and back again. Okay. So I would recommend for this practice to be seated. And I'm seated on a chair, my feet are connected to the ground, or you could sit on a couch with your legs crossed in whatever way, shape, or form feels right for you to support your back and your spine. Seated meditations can even be done seated against the wall so that your head has a place to rest as well to help soften the shoulders. In this meditation, even now, just to allow yourself to check out the pelvis. And as you kind of rock from side to side, it doesn't have to be as big and grand as I'm showing. Start to bring breath into that movement. Starting to feel how the exhale even has this kind of snake-like quality to it as you're moving like this. The inhale might not feel as easeful depending. So you can also, if you're breathing in through the nose, just at least now start to bring some gentle movement into the belly. So allowing your belly to kind of feel like you're churning the butter. And in that type of belly movement, our bellies are sometimes much more fluidity is in the belly, right? It's much more connected to that energy. And so it's just starting to initiate that connection to opening up into the pelvis, accessing the energy that you can draw down to the feet and up into the belly. That's really the first place to focus on. You can even wiggle your toes a little. And feel like on the inhale, you're pressing your toes into the ground and drawing breath from toes. Feel like it's traveling up through the legs into the belly. And then on the exhale, you're softening the pelvis back and feeling like you're pressing through the feet. Sometimes this back and forth pelvic movement can be a bit challenging, so go gentle. And if any areas already feel right, cricky, that this might be a place where you're staying. That's why we work from the bottom up, so that any areas that aren't feeling as fluid below, you can spend more time on. As you see, I'm not even closing my eyes yet. You're welcome to soften your gaze, and you're welcome as well to close your eyes. There's just not necessarily a need yet, because we're right now very connecting into the body first. Letting your shoulders soften, your elbows relax, and just dropping your chin. So now your belly is soft, your pelvis is relaxed. And as soon as you drop your chin, this is just bringing some stretch into that central channel, into your spine. And so I want you to feel like you're drawing from the tailbone, from the base of the spine, or even from the anus, up through that central channel, right to where the first kind of aches get, and then kind of just shaking it down. Sometimes these aches come up in the ribs. or into the chest area. First, if they don't, if they come up further, then just honor. Wherever they come up, and that's kind of like the point at the end of the breath, and then just drawing it down. Over time, your head will start to relax even more, bringing a deeper stretch into the back of the throat. At this point, it feels nice to even close the eyes. See where the inhale continues to go. It might be in the back of the chest by this point, it might be a little bit further up, but try not to push the breath up. There might be, after a while of kind of rolled over like this, you might even start to feel some aches come up into the sides of your middle back or lower back. So remember that whenever you feel the aches, it's not then to like shift position. It's more so than just to bring some of that circular movement. Almost like you're kind of, again, just, yeah, churning the butter, or, but nice and slow. Into the middle back. At this point, you might even start to feel some energy drawing up and towards the ears. So that you can feel even that as you inhale into the chest, right? The movement between the inhale and the exhale is almost coming up from the chest up into a V through the ears, and then cleansing down from the pineal gland in the back of your head, down, down, down. You'll see I'm doing quite loud exhales as well, to really kind of bring your body into the breath. Honoring what may come up in mind now, what little light pulses. Remember, thoughts, they may show up in words, they may show up in images or sentences or sensation, but remember to just go, that is a light pulse. So become aware of those light pulses that are happening within your mind. And lifting up your shoulders, letting them settle. Over each exhale, just doing a little shake to the pelvis as you lift your head. Finding a place for your arms that just feels like they can kind of dangle, be easeful. And then just as you're now seated more upright, just to feel like you're doing some very gentle motions with your chin. So you're just like lifting your chin up and down. It doesn't have to be exact with the breath. The breath may be a different rhythm. It's almost like you're just shaking around in a very light fashion the thoughts that are within. This also will bring an energy into the throat. And so as you stop the movement of chin up and down, to feel as if you now can breathe into the sides of the throat, the front, the back, without pushing. So feel breathing from belly through chest into throat, and softening the exhale. So it is just moving gently now, the energy through and down. You might already discover some sensations in the body that aren't just in the ache of how you're sitting, but might be little dips or blips, little light electrical pulses of energy in areas. And just welcome them, but continuing the breath. Just letting what can already clear feel like it's trickling down from head, throat, chest, belly, direction earth, direction hands, direction feet. Feel how much gentler the inhale is now. It might not be a full long breath in. Just really focusing on drawing the breath into the belly for now. The exhale is moving as far from above, from your mind, all the way down. By focusing the breath, it's not even about drawing belly out and in. It's just almost feeling like the belly is getting more and more fluid, like it's filling up like a cup. So the more energy that you're drawing up from the earth through your limbs, your feet, your knees, it's allowing your belly to get larger. Till it feels like the cup almost will overflow. Might even feel like it's getting a little weighty, right? And the amount of energy that is coming into the belly by this point. Feel like from the belly, you're just lengthening the spine up a little bit more. And with that, naturally, the inhale will be able to start to bring some of that excess fluid energy, possibly up just above your belly button, lower ribs, and then back down to the earth. So it's not about pushing the energy up, it's just about feeling how you're bringing greater stores of this energy up. Now, potentially just above your belly button into solar plexus area, and then back down to the earth. Bringing more of this earth energy into the plexus region. Can feel very calming to the body, but may also be very activating to the mind. So just honor the light pulses and honor with each exhale. You're letting what is able to clear to move down. This fluid energy may also bring up sensations, kind of a tension below or above it, usually also below. And so just honor not to get caught up in any tension. Just know as you continue to bring this fluid energy, it will naturally help it and dissipate it. From here, bringing some gentle movement into the ribs, almost making little spirals with the ribs. This is where fluid energy usually gets stuck, is between the plexus and between the heart. Soft belly, full exhale, just following and seeing, is it moving into the plexus or even a little bit above? Into the bottom of the heart, the lower ribs, and then back down. And just finding the place where it naturally goes with your breath. Practice trying not to suck in the belly as you breathe. It's a bit of a different full breath, like you're just trying to fill a longer and taller cup now. If you find any very strong energy as you do this, or centers that get activated, remember that instruction of trying to feel as if you're still encompassing and bringing the fluid energy up and around it, giving it a big embrace. Travel back down through the central channel on the exhale. Some gentle movement into the ribs and shoulders. So bring that fluid movement and breath below. And now see if you can expand the breath, full belly, full plexus up to heart, and back down again. Without pushing. If it's still not coming up to the heart, just stay on the plexus or where it is without trying to push it further up. Once it accesses the heart, though, you'll find the exhale then starts to move, potentially not just to the earth, but also upwards, which is quite beautiful to activate and clear the pathway upwards as well. Whatever you need to remember, you're drawing from the earth, through the feet, into the belly, to the plexus, to the heart, to the collarbones, and down. This is when you start to discover how breath may be directed down, but energy may flow up or out. Start to feel more activity in the throat, and if you do so, you can feel that you're moving from the heart, that fluidity, that smooth energy up into the throat, directing the breath down. If you find a limit, then see if you can breathe in a different way, that you're moving around that rock, around that limit. Welcoming other sensations in the body, wondering that as more fluid energy comes in, more healing occurs. I even feel by this point, as you breathe from belly or from pelvis, an initiation of those energetic serpents move out and in, snaking all the way up towards the throat. And then down the breath goes through the central channel, which naturally will clear energy in the opposite direction. You're welcome to continue in a place where there may still be a block or limitation. Right now, to bring that fluid energy through the spaces, through the energetic places in your body, out to the ears and into the head. And the exhale is a very gentle down, which will move the energy into the mind. Coating the thoughts with this loving energy from below. Bring to breathe as gentle as it may be, as you discover your inner equilibrium. And some of you, if you have reached the head, you may start to feel a gentle trickling from the mind, that trickling of nectar into the spine, feeding your whole system into the heart. You're welcome to sit here as long as you wish. If you wish to continue connecting to fluid energy, or if you wish to start to move out, begin to allow that breath to be a little louder. Hearing the sound of the exhale, bringing on the inhale some gentle movement into the spine, into the chest. The exhale, just moving it down. Slowly dropping your head. And leaning back and leaning forward. Just making some gentle rocks, even side to side. Making circles with your whole torso. Until the exhale moves through into the toes. Bring some movement into the toes and squeezing them. Moving into the ankles. Deepen breath in to reach your arms up and even stretching your palms up. Deep stretch. Letting your arms relax as you slowly open your eyes. Thank you for practicing with me this evening or on the replay. And know at any time if you're continuing to cultivate the energy within and you're enjoying the sensation of the nectar and the fluidity in the places, you're always welcome to just pause the meditation and come out on your own. And just remember that breath and movement will assist in you, again, moving that energy through your whole being so you can bring the harmony that you sense into all aspects of self. May this practice sustain you and assist you in the week to come. And I look forward to continuing the journey with you soon. Much love. Take care.